Old Bloke goes down to the river. So we're now well into week some or other of lockdown, and every day runs seamlessly into the next. The skies are blue, but the news is far from bright. But we still have some freedoms, one of which is exercise, which in my case is running or walking and learning while I'm at it. Early and all within an hour is usually how it pans out for this old bloke. Luckily, I only live a stone's throw from Scotland's second fastest river, after the Spey that is, the River Leven. It links Loch Lomond to the north with the Clyde estuary at Dumbarton, 6 and a bit miles to the south. A beautiful river in its own right, it has deep pools and shallow fast-running stretches that are home to goosanders, golden eyes, tufted ducks, mallards, and even the exotic mandarin duck. It is in the main edged by 8 habitations: Balloch, Jameson, Ross Head, or Ross Head as we say, Alexandria, Bonhill, Strathleven, Renton, Dilhurn, Dalriach and Dumbarton proper. It also has an interesting history. You see, the Leven didn't always run as clear as it does today. The river was a place I was warned never to go near as a kid. My mum always told me that the loch and the river between them took 7 victims every year, and she wasn't far off. It gets its name, like so many other places here, from the Gaelic Limham, which means elm bank. "What are you going to do then?" asked my better half. Not sure, I say, quite honestly. I tend to step outside, you see, and judge how I feel. But I think of Loch Lomond, and I reckoned I can make it to Loch Lomond shores and back in less in my allocated time. And the best place to make that journey is in my book, along the River Leven. I'll go down River Leven, I whisper. "Well, be careful not to fall in," she adds, rather unconvincingly. "Oh, and get me a pint of milk, or 2 pint. "Aye, OK. I'll do that on the way back then, eh?" "OK, bye." Always uncovering and discovering and looking. That's what I like to do. So I set off at the house for Balloch at 6:15 a.m. The sun is up, just, and the wood pigeons are already making a racket in the beech trees. I go straight down the road to the now abandoned St Andrew's Church, then on past the railway station, a slow little to take in one of the most iconic buildings in our wee town. It's the Old Hall Cinema. I saw my first ever colour movie in there, Disney's Pinocchio. Bad kids turned into donkeys, Jiminy Cricket singing "When you wish upon a star," all that stuff come flooding back to me, as does my dad's raucous laughter. The whole cinema would turn to see who it was, and I'd slide a bit further down my seat in embarrassment. Go Dad, he was brilliant, he still is. Then it's past the remains of the old Bonhill Bridge, now arranged in 3 pyramids, which, unless I'm mistaken, are pretty similar to the exact formation of Orion's belt, like the pyramids of Giza. All very Masonic, if you ask me. I went to the Giza one time with my better half, on our honeymoon it was, and I got chased onto the bus by an angry Arab with a dagger under his robe. Well, it might have been a dagger. I wasn't going to take a chance though. We'd been tricked onto a camel for a picture, and the guy wanted paid. I told him to sling it, and of course, he didn't take it too well. He seemed to take the huff, in fact. Oh well. You see, the pyramids and the Sphinx are right on the very edge of the sprawling city of Cairo. We actually went to the museum there too, and I saw the mask of Tutankhamun. But I got bored, and the better half said it was a total Philistine, which I thought was a bit much, But here we go again, because I actually saw the film Samson and Delilah in the Hall Cinema, that one I just told you about. And Samson's last act, according to the Bible, was to bring down the temple of Dagon, the Philistine god. You see, as the Greek and Middle Eastern empires were all collapsing around 1200 BC, the Philistines came from the Aegean Sea to Israel, where they settled and caused all sorts of hassle. The god Dagon, mentioned in Sumerian texts way back in, as far back as 2500 BC, was often represented as a fish god, having a mermaid-like tail and that, Which again brings me back to the river, doesn't it? And that's where I'm standing now, in the sunshine, opposite one of the old dye works. You see, this lovely clear water used to run red, literally. I look right, or south towards Renton and Dilhurn, where the first bleach fields in Scotland were established. After bleaching, people went on to printing and dyeing, so they diverted the river into their factories. They also used the river to transport their goods to Bowling and Glasgow, where I am now, opposite the old Dalmonach Works. Also has many personal memories for me. My Uncle Jimmy used to live in a wee house opposite, and I dealt with the agricultural firm Reid and Robertson for years and years. They were great to deal with, tough, but good to deal with. From Ballach to Dumbarton, there was the Leven Banks Works, the Milton, the Leven Fields Works, the Crofton Gay Works, the Dalmonach Works, opposite the Ferryfield Works, where I stand, and where the old ferry operated before the bridge was in place. Then there was the Dilly Chip Works, the pub and the terrace houses mark that spot still. Then the Cordell Works, Dilhurn Works. You see, the river is still tidal right up to Dilhurn, which is quite amazing. All this was in full swing during the 18th century, at its peak around 1880. The Leven's various works employed about 7,000 people, and there was 27 chimneys, or stocks as they called them, all along the length. In 1 year, over 160 million yards of cloth were dyed and printed. Dilhurn opened just at the beginning of the first Jacobite rebellion, 1715. The last opened in 1848, and that was Dillychip. The last to close was the merged Levenfield and Crofton Gay Works, situated between the Angling Club and Antarctics. A year before I was born, actually, in 1960. My grandpa used to tell me he remembered the Leven when it used to run pure red. You know, with the dyeing stuff that they used to wash the cloth in. To get some really great insight while walking the river, pick up the council-produced leaflet called The River Leven Heritage Trail. Normally available at local libraries, you can download the PDF at my website on my podcast extras page at www.paulmurdoch.co.uk. One slightly worrying description in the leaflet is of the Loch Lomond Radium Works, once based at Dilvate, which is near Ballach, which claims that the place is still radioactive. Surely not. Anyway, jogging north, I pass a few distilleries on my left, their old oak barrels still stacked high behind the high fence. You can sometimes smell the malt wafting over the river. I go under the bridge that links Ross Head to Jameson, and then under the newer of the two Ballach bridges, which is shut now for repairs, and onward to the bridge at the north, that spans the gap between the Ballach Hotel and Sweeney's Boatyard. There used to be an ancient ferry crossing there. The bridge has been updated over the last, 10 or so years. You see, they put wee walkways either side so you wouldn't get knocked down crossing it and stuff. But it was originally built in 1841. The basic structure just now dates back to 1908, minus the wee walkways. Although people would flock to Loch Lomond as far back as 1818 for a weekend day trip and stuff, Ballach only really ramped up its tourist potential when the railway arrived in 1850. I still remember the old station at Ballach, which is now the Tourist Information Centre. There were 2 rails back in my day. I'm sure one went all the way to Maida Loch. I'm sure it did. On my run back home, I think less of industry and more about my first love, wildlife. I see one of the most common birds in the Leven, a goosander. The female is light grey with an orange tufted head, pretty drab in comparison to the male bird, which is creamy white with black wings and a dark velvety green head. It takes on a pinky tinge below the wings during the mating season, but at this time of year, late April, it's already paired up. The goosander isn't your usual run-of-the-mill duck though, no. It doesn't sift about and nibble flies and stuff. It's an out-and-out hunter with a serrated bill. It dives and then chases down its prey, eating everything from minnows to salmon. They've been known to take a fish as big as a foot long. The females can often be seen carrying their wee babies in their backs. Oh well, that's me back at the old Hall Cinema again. My dad did some of the plastering and repairs back there in the 70s. Of course, there was more than one cinema in the Vale at that time. Alexandria, the Vale, that's what we call it. Anyway, my favourite was the Strand, especially the Saturday matinee, where I'd watch Flash Gordon and Lassie, as well as stuff my face with sweeties and chuck the odd penny at the screen when a baddie came on. Speaking of baddies, I better go and get my better half that pint of milk I promised. Or was it 2? Time to don the rubber gloves and get the Dettol ready. Ah well. But before I go, I'm going to recommend another book. Aye, it's called Angling on Loch Lomond and its Rivers. a book by Richard Dixon. Even if you're not an angler, it's an interesting book. So, all it remains to say is, keep safe, stay in if you can, and if you've been listening, thank you very much. Until next time, ciao for now.